Today's founder is on a mission, and it's personal.
Every school, every airline, every hospital should have snacks that should be accessible for everyone without worrying about, if you're going to die, if you're going to eat it.
Blake Sorensen is determined to solve a problem he's battled with his whole life. To do it, he needs to raise $750K from investors. Investors who are often skeptical of food startups. So today, Blake will take a run at their questions about competition, distribution, and of course, how the thing tastes. Will he make it through the food startup gauntlet? I'm Josh Muccio, and from Gimlet Media, this is The Pitch. Our investors today?
Alexandra Stanton.
Alexandra is CEO of Empire Global Ventures, and on the side, she likes to do a little angel investing. So far, she's made bets on 15 startups.
Phil Nadell.
As a serial entrepreneur, Phil built companies that sold for hundreds of millions of dollars. Now he manages one of the largest syndicates on AngelList.
Charles Hudson.
Charles is with Precursor Ventures, where he's invested $20 million in over 100 startups to date.
Jake Chapman.
Jake has invested over $10 million in 30 startups, and now he's a partner at Alpha Bridge Ventures. All right, on with the pitch.
My name is Blake Sorensen. I'm the co-founder of Blake's Seed Base. So imagine you guys are at dinner tonight in New York City, and you take your first bite of your meal, and immediately your throat begins to swell shut. You're gasping for air. Your body goes into anaphylactic shock. 5 minutes later, you're on a stretcher out of the restaurant, fighting for your life. So that exact situation has happened to me numerous times in my life. And I'm not alone. I'm one of 15 million people who suffers from food allergies. And specifically, I have a deathly nut allergy. So obviously, growing up with that, it's a daily struggle. And part of that, I just had to accept that I can't eat certain foods. So, you look at like snack bars, protein bars, trail mix, right? They all have nuts in them or made in facilities with nuts. So I just accepted that until about a year ago when I was in business school, and I felt like I was swimming in RX bars and Kind bars and trail mixes. They were all around me. And I was like, one, can you guys just get them away from me? Because I don't want to die. and two, I was like so frustrated. Like, why can't I have food items like this? Like, it's all I want, something on the go that's healthy. And I've loved seeds growing up. So sunflower seeds, pumpkin seeds, chia seeds. So I said, what if I took products that traditionally have nuts and just replaced them with seeds?
So Blake threw on an apron and made the bars he needed in his own life. Then he enlisted his friends and family to try them out.
And everyone loved them. And a light bulb went off in my head when I looked at the recipes I was creating because they were top 8 allergen free. So the 15 million people with food allergies could eat them. And my friends who, didn't have a nut allergy, but they wanted an alternative to nuts. They wanted, they were every day, calling me, they couldn't get enough of them. So we took a step back and said, we might have something here. So in February, we went live and the demand was incredible. To date, we've sold 20,000 bars. We launched 3 flavors of snack bars. And we're here today, we're raising a $750,000 convertible note. And our mission is to create seed-based snacks that are allergy friendly. So on that note, you guys probably want to try them, right?
Sure, let's do it.
We'd love it.
Blake's bars look a lot like Rice Krispie treats, but made from seeds of all shapes and sizes with little bits of fruit mixed in. And the investors moved to the first item on their food and beverage rubric, the taste test.
So there are 3 flavors, chocolate chip, pineapple, and raspberry.
Yeah, so there are 3 flavors of our snack bar. And then in the product pipeline, so we have a snack bar, we're working on a protein bar, and then we'll launch a trail mix.
The raspberry is very tasty.
Yeah. Okay, so that 15 million number, are those people who have like a very serious allergy, or is that anyone who has any allergy to one of these?
Yeah, so it all differs, right? Some people have like intolerances. Some people like myself are deathly allergic. So nut allergies are historically the ones that people are deathly allergic, right? Like anaphylactic shock. But yeah, it varies on how allergic you are. I'm definitely on the spectrum where the worst of the worst.
Yeah.
So what we're trying to do, there's different seeds. So pumpkin seeds, sunflower seeds, and flaxseed. And there's also quinoa and chickpeas. So we're trying to, every product really highlight seeds and also highlight ancient grains. Seeds are a great alternative, very similar taste profile from what I've heard, right? I can't have nuts. And the nutrition value is incredible. We think it's the next superfood. So, and everyone can enjoy it.
The investors like the bars. They're not shy about trying all the flavors, except for raw vegan Phil, of course. But I'd say that Blake has passed the taste test.
Next down the list, no, not that one. Yes.
Your
Yellow
competition.
pineapple.
Can you talk a little about the competition?
So from a allergy-friendly perspective, there's a couple players, right? There's Enjoy Life, there's 88 Acres. There's some people that have done that. So there's the allergy-friendly players that, the branding, the product, the nutrition is not appealing. And then there's obviously the big players, right? Like the Kind Bar, the RX Bar, the big players. So we think there's a big gap in the market to create an inclusive brand right in the middle, to pull from people that don't have food allergies and people that do.
What do you think RX Bar and Kind Bar have done right to grow so quickly and become so well established?
So I think it goes back to, with RX Bar, it goes back to the ingredients, and Kind Bar, they have a number of different products. The big thing with this company is, we have the production figured out, we have the logistics. This is a sales and marketing company. So the brand is as important as everything. And that's what, to really win in this market, we need to create a great brand.
Are you the brand? Has your name on the?
Yeah, and I'm not. The reason I wanted to put my name in it is because it's a personal story. I really believe I wake up every day and there is a lack of allergy-friendly snacks, and that drives me every day. I really think that every school, every airline, every hospital should have snacks that should be accessible for everyone, without worrying about if you're going to die if you're going to eat it. So I guess I'm part of the brand.
In an effort to understand Blake's Seed-Based as a brand, they need to know a little bit more about Blake, the person.
Where are you from?
So I grew up in Minneapolis, and then I went to Wisconsin for undergrad. I just finished up business school at Indiana. And then before business school, I spent 5 years in the startup world. And another important thing about my background is at Wisconsin, I played football as well. And then after, I played for the Seattle Seahawks for a short amount. So I have the athlete route, and my mom was a dietitian. So I grew up like broccoli, chicken, extremely healthy ingredients, and that is at the core of this company.
How are you selling them?
So we're just online right now. We just started shipping in February, and the demand was much bigger than we ever expected. So we're all direct to consumer. And then instead of going traditional retail where no one knows who we are as a brand, we have to deal with couponing and distributors, we want to target food service. So when you look at hospitals, schools, airlines, even big chain gyms, those are people that need allergy-friendly snacks because it's risk mitigation. So we've met with a couple of airlines that have loved the idea. They're like, why would we even take the risk of serving products with nuts in them if potentially someone's going to die?
I think that's really smart of you to focus on food service and not on brick and mortar retail, because that's a very crowded space of bars, and getting shelf space is exceedingly difficult and expensive.
Yeah.
What's the price point of the product at retail compared to like other bars in the market?
So those would be $2. We never want to be the chewy granola bar that's $1, right? We want to be on the higher end side. We pay a premium to get audited to be, certified nut-free, certified gluten-free. The consumer, it's like, their mind's at ease, right? They know they can trust the brand.
How do you win on the shelf next to a non-allergen-free bar with someone who doesn't care about allergies? Because you have this problem where you want to market that you're allergy-free because you want to hit your target market, but I feel like people who see that are going to be encouraged to just grab an RX bar or a Kind bar because they feel comfortable with that already.
Yeah. So that is proposing to them the value of seeds, right? And giving the alternative. And we want to really educate the consumers on seeds. When you look at chia seeds, pumpkin seeds, sunflower seeds, flax seeds, there are so many use cases. There's so much nutritional value.
is seed food already a trend?
Yes.
Is that like up and coming, or are you going to have to create a market for seeds?
If you look at some of the top 10 trends, it is really trending. So we feel like we are at the perfect time of seeds and ancient grains are trending, allergies are rising. So we put those two things together, and we think we have potential to have a lot of success.
I know that the trend is moving in the right direction, but do you think that this is, in one sense, missionary work, and you're going to have to go out there and educate the world about the value of seeds and that that's very expensive?
I think we're coming at actually just the right time. And I think 2 years from now, the awareness and education on seeds will be in a totally different spot. And frankly, that's when we'll have, hopefully a brand, and that's when we'll have distribution. So I think that the fact that we are a little early as we build this thing out actually plays to our advantage.
You're skating to where the puck will be.
There you go.
I like it.
Yeah.
Phil likes Blake's vision, but when we come back, we'll see if he likes it enough to invest. Welcome back. The investors just agreed that Blake has the right roadmap for his startup, but they still have questions about the Blake in Blake's Seed-Based.
I want to come back to one thing that the more I hear you talk, the more I'm struggling with. The thing I like most about what you're saying is actually you and your personal story.
Yes.
And I don't know how you translate that to a B2B sale. I think in the consumer, you could speak. I can envision close crop on you telling a story about that resonating at a visceral level with a consumer. I don't know how you take the magic of you and communicate that in a B2B channel.
Right.
But isn't it less important in the B2B channel? Because when you're on a plane and they give you free snacks, you're kind of stuck with what they give you. So if you don't have the choices you have on the retail shelf,
so
right?
Here's what let me just say a little more about that. I don't think your greatest asset, which is you and your story, I don't think the B2B people care. I'm guessing this airline's going to say, is it expensive? Does it fit within our cost profile? If we hand it out, are people going to say, what is this thing? Thank you, no thank you. Whereas I think you have a really clear idea of why you're doing this and about why seeds matter. And I think speaking directly to the consumer without an intermediary, I think that's your superpower. And I'd hate to see that disappear in a blind B2B sale on an order sheet.
Yeah, I think that's a great point. That what I've seen in the few meetings I've had is I just have to connect with that buyer and communicate my story just like I do to the direct to consumer.
Are there products that have become big, meaningful consumer brands that were introduced and grown through a B2B channel that way as opposed to really cultivating the consumer directly?
Yeah, I mean, I don't have a good example that just focused like B2B. I would say if we could prioritize, it is the direct to consumer first, right? Our website and Amazon, clearly number one. But to really grow this company and to get like bulk orders, we're going to have to go to B2B.
Let me ask you this. Obviously I get your unique selling proposition, seed-based, allergen-free. But how is it defensible? In other words, how difficult is it for another company to do a seed-based? This takes off, right? And another company says, we have a nut-free manufacturing facility. We'll create a seed-based product as well.
Thank you for asking that. So
you're welcome.
Yeah, you set me up. This is
one of
my favorite questions. So the fact that finding a nut-free manufacturer, that took me 4 months. I traveled the whole country. I traveled North America looking for one.
Well, do you have an exclusive arrangement with them?
We don't.
Oh, good. You just made my work easier. Now I can find nut-free manufacturer. I mean, if I'm a competitor.
Okay, exactly. So, you could find it, but the options are either build your own facility or find a co-packer, which there are very few of. I have found two that have hit the standards. I've visited, numerous that can reach the scale we want to hit. And also, like the one we're using with, you walk in, they pat you down for nuts. Because that's their whole business model, right? If a nut gets in it, someone dies, their business is shut down. So that's the barrier to entry is really finding a facility.
But there are a couple you said.
Yeah, there are a couple. they're tough to find and they're extremely picky. I mean, I went up to the manufacturer and was in front of, they pick like 3% of the companies that try to pitch them.
Let's say I'm RX Bar, and I go, wow, Blake's really killing it with those seed bars down there. I think we better come up with a seed bar. Quick, go find a nut-free manufacturing facility that can scale what we need. How do you produce any kind of moat when a company like RX Bar can easily go into one of these facilities and do the same thing?
Yeah, so a lot of there's competitors in the space that are just trying to make a buck, right? They see like, oh, there's people with food allergies, let's make a product. So the defensible is to create a brand around it and build it on my story, an authentic story, right? This is, yes, I'm trying to, like build a great company, but this is also so personal to me, and that's my mission every day. So
I think that's the answer.
Yes.
Is the brand, not,
Yes.
there are only a couple nut-free facilities in the country. I think the answer is we're going to build a killer brand, and everyone's going to know us for being that allergen-free but delicious-tasting seed-based, products.
You're from the Midwest. You should video your mom. Your siblings should do videos. This should be about family.
Yeah.
You've got the
Yeah,
makings
if I'm your
of
brother,
a very...
I'd be like, I had to suffer my whole childhood because my
Right?
damn brother couldn't eat nuts.
And there's also
Right?
my brother Ben has seen me at 5 minutes from death, right? Of literally anaphylactic shock. Like that was almost it. So it's like a personal story to my family. Sorry.
No, it's an emotional thing.
Yeah,
I mean, I understand why you're
it's,
reacting that way. I understand that it's emotional.
I'm convinced that in the next 5 years, there'll be someone that dies on a plane from nuts. And overnight, the whole industry will be nut-free or allergy-friendly. Like, I am so convinced in my heart that will happen.
Wow, this is really personal. If having passion for a vision is in the investor's food and beverage rubric, I think Blake's got it. But soon, the investors will have to add up the scores and see if Blake's seed-based passes the test.
You said you're raising a $750,000 note. What's the cap on the note?
Yeah, so it's a $3 million cap.
You're a star. You're humble. You came in here, you shook all of our hands, you made eye contact. You have an amazing story. You've talked about your mom. You've talked about your career. You've talked about an experience that you've had over and over with your allergies. You're the company, and you're the ball game here. So, I think it's close up on you. You're it. You are sales. And I think I'm interested, but I would want to hear you say that you are the sales face. Don't let any investor move you off this mark. It would be a mistake.
Thank you for that. Appreciate that. And we are setting up the company to free me up so I can go be the brand, go lead sales. And frankly, that's what I'm passionate about doing because I believe so much in this product and this space.
Well, I'm happy to do 25. I'm happy to come in.
That'd be amazing. Thank you.
Alexandra is in for $25,000 for Blake's seed-based. But Charles has just one more question before he decides.
Can you give me a sense for what you think is possible in terms of velocity? Like the last thing I'm wrestling with is I know what software velocity can look like, but in a business like this, what's reasonable expectations for year over year for the next couple of years?
Yeah. So you look at RX Bar, which is even the food terms in Chicago is everyone's looking for that next RX Bar, 0 to 120 million in 5 years. So I think reasonably, this note, I think we can do $1 million next year. Very, very confident in that. Right at that point, we would raise a Series A to kind of expand and really grow it. In year 4, $10 million. I do think that's reasonable.
So I'd like to make a small investment in this one. It would be smaller than what we typically do because we're primarily software and hardware people, but we have a small allocation at the fund. If I find someone who I think is working on an interesting problem and I just think there's something special about them, and you fall in that category. So, I'd obviously have some follow-up questions, but based on what I heard, for us, it'd be something in that 25 to 50K range.
Awesome.
I just think you've got really good instincts for your category. And I think like Jake said, it's early for seed-based snacks. And if you can be the one that pioneer and sort of drive that category, I think tremendous gains go to the winner.
Mm-hmm.
Although there's something to be said for investing in a seed round of a seed-based company.
There you go.
I was waiting for that.
That's appealing to me.
Yeah.
But
It's too easy. He doesn't get credit for that.
Low-hanging fruit. For me, it's. I really like what you're doing. Love the story. I think there's a real opportunity for you to build a brand here, right? But it's early for me.
Yeah.
It's just really early, and I don't have enough evidence yet of product market fit, and that you're going to be able to do this. And I need some early indicators of that before I jump in. So keep in touch, and I'm into the idea of investing in the A round.
Awesome. Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Phil is out for now, but Charles is in. Jake's up next.
I think anyone in the family could eat it. I don't think you have to sell it just to the allergy-free market. My biggest reservation is just I'm worried that you're going to have to create consumer awareness around seed-based if there is no current seed-based trend. And so, for that reason, I think I'm going to have to pass right now. I'd love to do a little bit of research on my own, but I love the bar and I love you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Awesome.
Blake, thanks.
Thank you guys so
Thanks
much.
for coming
Nice to
in.
meet you.
Good job.
Blake takes off with an investment from both Alexandra and Charles. But the investors aren't done chewing on this pitch.
There's a Midwestern football player who starts crying. Hey,
That's right.
are you kidding me? Are you nuts?
Love
Guys,
that.
seriously, bananas. He's going to crush it.
I'm like, fire your marketing firm and just trust your own instincts.
Seriously,
And, like,
that?
I could see him doing TV commercials.
Yeah. I think your instincts were right. I mean, I think in food there isn't much defensibility. Like McDonald's
Yes,
and
that's
Burger
right.
King both
That's
sell
right.
hamburgers, and like
Right.
I think
right.
it comes down to like, do you connect with a brand that makes you feel like this is the like? Look, I mean, I drink this brand of water because I really like it. Is it fundamentally different than other waters? I don't know, but this is the brand that I like.
Sure.
My advice to him is stay D2C for as long as you possibly can. Stay out
Oh,
of.
if he said he wanted to go brick and mortar retail, I'd be like, no way.
No way.
That's
Totally,
not
I would
the way.
have
Agreed.
tapped out immediately. And so
I guess
think
part of it's a question of, do they end up marketing to the mainstream consumer that, who's not concerned about allergies, or are they just going to stay laser focused on the households that are concerned about that? It's probably a big enough market to just stay focused on, the allergy concerned people.
Yeah. Cool. You could certainly start the brand there, I guess, and then expand once you've got some brand identity.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, it's interesting, though.
nice.
For sure.
Sweet.
He was terrific.
Thanks.
When we come back, Blake delivers an ultimatum. Welcome back. Blake Sorensen just pulled in 2 new investors in his seed snack bar company. When I caught up with him a few months later, I asked about this particular moment in the room where the investors weren't really seeing eye to eye.
The investors were saying that you needed to own the brand and be the face of the company because of who you are and how genuine it was with your story. But then you wanted to focus on selling business to business. So selling your bars to food service companies, airlines, and things like that. Did that make you, like, their disagreement on some of those things, did it make you reconsider your strategy?
Not really. I mean, the truth is when we launch, we're going to kind of need to figure it out and pivot. But I still think the direct-to-consumer and, having the brand and communicating right with the consumer is important, will be step one of the company. But step two, I mean, what we did is we just hired a COO to come on and kind of run the business day to day. So when we do want to sell to airlines and hospitals and schools, it frees me up to go tell the story and essentially same thing, make that connection with people and tell the story of the brand. So I think you can operate in tandem, both direct to consumer and B2B.
You don't think it matters? Like, their argument around, like, oh, is your story going to translate when you sell business to business? You don't think it's valid?
Yeah, I don't think that's valid. In fact, so I think the one thing that's rang true in startups in general is you can have a plan, but things never go right. So we're just kind of placing little bets, right? We're going to be on Amazon. We're going to be on our website. We have some B2B approaches, and eventually we're going to see what works. And whatever avenue opens up, we'll reallocate our resources and our time to that avenue. But to say that this is our plan, this is exactly what we're going to do, I think that's doesn't make a whole lot of sense.
So then what, like, there was this moment when I think it was Alexandra was talking about what it must be like to grow up with someone with a deathly food allergy like you. And you got pretty emotional in the room. I believe there were some tears shed. What's it like to have to tell your personal story to a room full of strangers like that?
Yeah, well, it was a little embarrassing. Never happens. But I think it goes back to why I started the company. I mean, we started this company because it's a massive problem for people with allergies, and it's a serious issue. So, again, it got a little caught up. Didn't expect that to happen, but it kind of is essential to why the company was created. So I'm glad that at least that was conveyed.
Well, it worked out. You got investment.
Yeah. A little embarrassed by that. Probably catch some flack from my buddies, but, well, it's all right. We'll make it work.
Wait, really? They don't know yet. You didn't tell anyone.
I haven't told anyone that. Yeah, I don't plan to broadcast that portion that I cried on a podcast.
Don't worry. We'll broadcast it for you. Oh. You left the room with 2 investments. One was from Alexandra and one from Charles. But I hear things got a little crazy after the pitch. So let's start with Alexandra. What happened with Alexandra?
Yeah, so we had good conversations with Alexandra. We reaffirmed her commitment. It took her a while. There's a lot of delays, obviously, after the show of kind of response time, but it took a while. I mean, there was kind of like weeks where we didn't hear anything, and at one point it was like we were going to take other people's money just because we wanted to close the round. So I kind of gave her a deadline. I said, Alexandra, like, you have, a day. And this is after numerous emails and calls, but you kind of have a day to like respond and let me know you're in and wire the money. Otherwise, we have to take it from someone else. And she came through. So
you gave her an ultimatum.
I did. I didn't want to be rude about it, but obviously there's a lot going on in a startup, and you kind of just want to get your money in and focus on operating the business. So that was the reasoning behind that.
It turns out Alexandra was out doing some fundraising of her own and was a little slow to respond to Blake. Eventually, they worked it out, but I was curious as to why Blake gave her so many chances to get in the round.
I really value her expertise and some of the connections she has. I think even from a location, she's in New York, and some of the people and doors she can open, I think will be very valuable for us in the future. So.
All right, so moving on to Charles. What happened with Charles?
We sent him the documents right after, and he was excited. Said he would be good for 50,000, and in fact, if we had more room available, he wanted more room, and at that point, we were filled up.
Oh,
but
so you couldn't give him more room?
Yeah, couldn't get more room, but. Yeah, so we were excited to get him on board. Obviously, kind of like Alexandra, he has a deep network of connections. And then when it got down to him signing the documents and wiring the funds, there was an oversight. He didn't realize we were an LLC, and their fund only invests in C corps for tax purposes. So that investment fell through.
What?
Yeah.
Because you're an LLC?
Correct. It was very frustrating because there's a lot of back and forth with Charles, and somehow that didn't get communicated on both sides. But most VCs want you to be a C Corp for tax purposes. When we do a Series A eventually, we will convert to a C Corp, and that's when most VCs invest.
So you're saying that all of the other people that you did raise from were smaller investors or angel investments, not a bigger VC fund?
Exactly. Which we actually did that on purpose. Once you get VCs involved, I'm not saying we won't do this, but there's a lot of complications. They want board seats. They want warrants. They want a lot more information. And The angel investors, I think, give us more autonomy as a company and to kind of operate and run the company how we want.
Despite Charles's inability to invest because of a technicality, Blake was able to fill up his entire round, all $750K, with angel investors. Investors like Alexandra.
Yes, the round is finished. The money's in the bank, and now we need to execute.
Now you're on the hook.
Yeah, exactly. A lot of pressure now, but the last 25,000 was wired today, so we're officially done.
Well, congrats, Blake. That's huge.
Thank you.
Finally, someone emerged victorious on the other side of the food startup gauntlet. And I'm glad it was Blake. Maybe one of these days, we'll see Blake's seed-based bars in stores everywhere, right next to RX Bar. Our show is produced by me, Kareem Maddox, and Molly Donahue. We are edited by Blythe Terrell. We're mixed by Enoch Kim, original music composed by The Musemaker, theme music by Breakmaster Cylinder. Lisa Muccio planned the recording of this pitch. Here's our disclaimer: no offer to invest is being made to or solicited from the listening audience on today's show. All right, you've been listening to The Pitch from Gimlet Media. We'll be back with a brand new episode next Wednesday. To hear how things went down for past food and beverage startups on the show, I'd recommend going back to listen to episode 21, Metabrew, and episode 35, The Proof is in the Pudding. It's about a company called Petit Pot, and it's actually one of my all-time favorite episodes. So check it out.